Welcome back. On this program, we look at a rare, almost mythological creature, a Russian military intelligence long-term sleeper operative, like in the former TV series The Americans. This one was charged Friday by the Justice Department. The 46-page criminal complaint charges this sleeper with acting as an agent of a foreign power, visa fraud, bank fraud, wire fraud, and other federal charges, all stemming from illegal activities he allegedly performed while in the United States. He's currently incarcerated in Brazil on fraud charges. More on that. But first, I want you to listen to this sleeper, directed by the Second Directorate of the Main Directorate of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation. Talk about the roughly 10 grand Ducati Stormer he just bought new in this 2018 YouTube video he started out filming at the Iwo Jima Memorial in Washington, D.C., during the period he attended Johns Hopkins. The entire video is included at the end of the program for those curious to watch it.
I have actually never ever been happier on any motorcycle before. I had Buell before, had Ducati Super Sport, they were all amazing good bikes, I'll never forget them, but this one guys, this is just something completely different. I would have never imagined that I would fall in love that fast and that deeply with this motorcycle. Well, firstly, it looks freaking amazing, alright? It's light, it's torquey, and full of character, amazing sound, and comparing this bike like to an animal, it feels like a dog. It's happy all the time, and it makes you happy as long as you're around. It's just really a joyful machine.
And that is 37-year-old Russian military intelligence sleeper operative Sergey Vladimirovich Cherkasov, a Russian national born in Kaliningrad. He used his long-established Brazilian sleeper alias of Victor Muller Ferreira to do whatever he's been doing for the last 12 years as an undetected Russian long-term undercover operative for what used to be called the Main Intelligence Directorate, and is still referred to by its previous abbreviation, the GRU. A bit of nostalgia, I suppose. Cherkasov originally was burned by the Dutch National Security Service in July after discovering he was posing as a Brazilian citizen trying to infiltrate the International Criminal Court, or ICC, the international body that just issued an arrest warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin and is investigating Russian war crimes in Ukraine.
Of March 2023, the International Criminal Court has issued 2 warrants of arrest in the Ukraine situation. For Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation, and for Maria Lvova-Belova, Commissioner of the Russian President for Children's Rights, for the alleged war crimes of deportation of children from Ukrainian occupied territories into the Russian Federation. The judges issued arrest warrants. Their execution depends on international cooperation.
According to Brazilian authorities, in early June 2010, Cherkasov entered Brazil on a Russian passport for the first time. Then, on April 16, 2011, he used his Russian passport to enter Brazil a second time. A search conducted by Brazilian authorities revealed no record of Cherkasov having departed the country after he entered on April 16, 2011. This sordid spy versus spy saga, reminiscent of the Cold War, unraveled when the General Intelligence and Security Service of the Netherlands announced on June 16th that Cherkasov arrived in the Netherlands in April using a not surprisingly detailed legend, a deep cover background that is meticulously provided to long-term operatives like Cherkasov, who are comprehensively trained and very difficult to uncover. How exactly he was exposed remains unclear. What is known is that his intricately established cover for the last decade at least, and established with support from his handlers at the GRU, which, incidentally, isn't identified in the U.S. criminal complaint, Neither is the fact that in 2020 he graduated from Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies, or SAIS, an elite graduate program preferred by U.S. military personnel, young diplomats, and, of course, future spies. And he never lacked for money. Court and other records show he had access to untold hundreds of thousands. According to the Netherlands Intelligence Agency, and most certainly following a lot of interrogation, I suspect with the CIA Chief of Station observing, since July, Cherkasov was denied entry to the Netherlands in April 2022 and sent back to Brazil, where upon his arrival he was arrested on a charge of identity fraud and will be prosecuted for using forged documents. Brazilian police confirmed Cherkasov's arrest, adding that he entered Brazil in 2010, 13 years ago, when he would have been a fresh-faced 24-year-old GRU spy graduate with a non-official cover. There, he positioned himself as a Brazilian national. According to court filings and open-source intelligence, Cherkasov began working as an illegal in 2012 in Brazil using the Ferreira name. He moved to the U.S. in 2018 after obtaining admission to Johns Hopkins. He also lived several years in Ireland. He returned to Brazil only to prepare for a trip to the Netherlands, where he'd apparently been offered a job as an intern at the ICC as a junior analyst in the Preliminary Investigations Division, where, intelligence sources say, he would have had access to the computer networks of the court. The Netherlands State Security Agency said in a statement, quote, "If this person had been given the opportunity to actually do work at the ICC, he could have gathered intelligence here, spot or recruit resources, and gain access to digital systems. In this way, the man could have met the GRU's intelligence needs to a significant extent. He may also have been able to influence criminal cases within the ICC," unquote. When he was arrested by Brazilian authorities, he had with him numerous electronic devices, including a hard drive which contained a 5-page document written in Portuguese that summarized his Ferreira legend. The translated document listed his assumed parents, names, nationalities, and places of birth, as well as his father's residence and mother's burial location. It provided the circumstances of Cherkasov's birth and family dynamics, including bogus sights, smells, and scenes from a fictitious childhood. Illegals are specifically trained, long-term intelligence operatives with credible legends, which are supposed to conceal all the agents' ties to Russia, in this case the GRU. Whose focus primarily is acquiring classified military intelligence, collecting intelligence on politics or technology, and performing influence operations. This category of Russian intelligence officer is a person who typically is hand-picked and then put through extensive and grueling training for a very long time, sometimes since they were children. Their training typically focuses on, among other things, foreign languages, covert communications, proficient use of codes and ciphers, the assumption of a false identity, and cover profession, surveillance measures, concealment and destruction of equipment and materials used in connection with their work as covert agents, and the avoidance of detection during their work as covert agents. As depicted in the TV series The Americans, Russian sleepers can be very difficult for intelligence services to identify. Consequently, they can carry out their assignments under the radar for, well, in Cherkasov's case, for over a decade. Indeed, what makes this matter so disturbing is that according to a Western assessment of the GRU in the autumn of 2018, the GRU had a long-running program to run illegal spies, those who work without diplomatic cover and live under an assumed identity in foreign countries, for years. The assessment also said the operation plays an increasingly important role in Russia's development of information warfare, both offensive and offensive, and that it is an aggressive, well-funded organization that has the direct support of and access to Vladimir Putin, who tacitly authorizes its freedom in what it does and leniency to any internal diplomatic or legislative scrutiny. Found on Cherkasov by Brazilian security officials was a thumb drive that contained emails indicating he's hidden electronic equipment in remote locations in Brazil just prior to his departure to The Hague in April 22. They've since been found. Illegals typically use sophisticated covert communication equipment that obfuscates their identity and communications with their handlers. Since June, Brazilian authorities have regularly permitted representatives of the Russian Federation to meet with Cherkasov while he's been incarcerated in Brazil. In September, Brazilian authorities confirmed the Russian Federation had filed extradition paperwork with the Brazilian Supreme Federal Court to extradite Cherkasov back to Russia, based upon criminal conduct they say he had allegedly committed while in Russia. But don't expect that to happen. The Justice Department will likely also file for his extradition to the U.S. from Brazil, which we have better relations with. We'll keep watching for new developments, and we're working on a report specifically about the GRU and sleeper agents, as many have been caught just in recent years and certainly over the last decade. Until next time, friends, stay well, safe, and frosty out there.